It's been 13 years, and I still feel that I'm looking for regaining that camaraderie.
You have that relationship with all the guys. You trust them all. You know them all. You know what's going to happen. Very safe. But once I got out of the military, I just wanted to be by myself.
I just watched the world go by. Went from the corner of my eye. I saw you walking. I saw you walking right up to me. I found what I've been missing. Someone who will listen. Someone who will listen to my soul. I'd forgotten how to feel. I'd forgotten what was real. I'm open for the first time in very long. And now I've let you in. I'm ready to begin. Find the man in me I thought was gone. I found what I've been missing.
Hello, and welcome to our series entitled When Vets Gather. My name is Scott Shuley. I'm a retired Army First Sergeant, and I have the privilege of continuing to serve veterans through projects like this. We believe that veterans are the best resource to reach out to other veterans. It's our fraternal responsibility. When vets gather, whether one-on-one or in a group, whatever number, hope happens and recovery begins. We're fortunate to have with us today Command Sergeant Major Joe Gainey, who was the first enlisted advisor to the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Welcome, Joe.
Well, Scott, it's an honor to be here today, brother.
Joe, who will you be interviewing today?
Well, Scott, today we are very fortunate, if not honored, to have Nate DeVito. Young Nate was a veteran in the Iraqi War, and he's here to share his personal story with us.
Well, let's go to the round table for Joe and Nate.
Our guest is Nate DeVito. Nate, why don't you tell us a little bit about your childhood?
I was born and raised in Virginia Beach, Virginia. Kind of had a pretty good childhood, nothing too crazy. Decided after high school I was going to enlist in the Army, which was a big no-go in my family because everybody was Navy and we grew up around a big Navy base.
Good for you.
So I was like, I want to go in the Army. I enlisted in 2005. I went infantry because I actually wanted to get out there and I wanted to fight. I didn't really want to sit behind the lines. And then I got out February 2013.
Okay, Nate, you was deployed twice. Tell us about the deployments.
I went straight from basic training to a unit that had already deployed. So I spent 2 weeks training and then went straight over to Iraq. I did 6 months of driving Bradley and 6 months on the ground. The first deployment was really rough. Around my third time going out, driving a Bradley, we hit an IED and got into a little firefight. It kind of progressed from there with a lot of IEDs, a lot of firefights. We would get mortared twice a day. We got blown up so much you wouldn't really pay attention to it. Not a lot of time to think about anything, just shove it in and go. We did a lot of 24-hour missions on a road that had a high rate of IEDs. I didn't think I was going to make it out. You go from living day to day like, is this going to be my day? Is this going to happen? And then it's always there's an IED or a firefight, and then you get something happens and you're like, I'm okay, okay. And so then you go through that for a year or 2 years or anything, and you just kind of get in this thing of, well, it doesn't matter. If I live or if I die, it doesn't matter. I'm already okay with it.
So when you go to combat, you have a sense of wanting to find that one person or two people that you say, that's my brother. I can trust him or her with my life. Well, I lost that person, and it's very emotional and deep to me. Did you experience anything similar that you could talk about?
I was the newbie, brand new private, and about a week into it, I had a good friend come over, and we met. It was just one of those people you get whenever you're in the service, you kind of click, and then you just kind of start doing everything together. It's not that you've known him forever, it's just you kind of have a bond. One day, he went out, and they kind of caught it in the perfect spot, and he passed away. And it was kind of a big deal for me because I felt like I was to blame for it, because I don't know, I feel like I wanted to be a driver, and I was like, hey dude, come be a driver. And so we both did it. And I kind of have a lot of survivor's guilt because I feel like I put him in a situation, and if it wasn't for me, he'd still be alive. And I know that a lot of people have that, and it's really tough to get over. I know when we lost my friend, there was a lot of people that, some people would deal with it differently. Some people were crying, some people were really depressed. I didn't have that. For some reason, I was numb. I was just really, really angry. If something happens, there's always that need for revenge. And I don't even say revenge, I'll say closure.
There you go, that's right.
Because
closure.
it feels like it's an open wound that's never going to get filled because I'm never going to find that person that did it. They're never going to get any justice. And it's just so hard to deal with that, the fact that we knew where they were and we couldn't just go out and do it. And I know it's not good to say because it's not the way we do things, but there's always that piece of me that is like, well, why didn't we just go do it?
What if? That's right, yeah.
And a lot of people saw that in me, and they were kind of questioning, like, why aren't you doing anything? Why are you just mad all the time, or this or that? And it's hard for you to be like, well, this happened. I want to go do this, but you can't tell other people, I want to go get revenge on this person, or I want to do this or that.
I want to say one thing. Revenge, as you call it, closure as I call it, does not make you feel better.
Yeah.
Speaking from experience, closure does not bring it together like you'd think. Because I'll tell you, as a soldier to a soldier, that when you do have an opportunity to get closure, in some ways it's more painful than if you would have just left it alone. I can tell you that from experience. Just leave it alone. You're going to be okay.
Yeah. We lost, I believe, 5 people, but it still hurts pretty bad. Deployed in 2008 to 2009, which was a big change. So we went from fighting and kicking in doors to helping the people actually rebuild, which was pretty awesome to see, because I went from seeing all the hardships and horrors and everything bad that could happen to all the good we were doing.
You know, Nate, this whole topic today was about trust. And when I came home, while I was in Iraq and Afghanistan and other places, I trust those around me, but my brothers. But when I came home, I had a problem with trust. Even my closest used to be friends.
Yeah.
Did you experience anything like that?
Yeah, definitely.
Well, tell me about it.
When I first got back, I know there was a lot of people that couldn't really deal with day-to-day. I know for me, I didn't care about anything. I didn't care about friends. I didn't care about anything that was going on. And you get into a really, really dark place. You deploy for a year and come back, all of a sudden, the people that you were friends with are still the same, and you're a completely different person.
Yep.
So now the only people you feel like you can rely on are your squad, fire team, and your platoon, the people you deployed with, because you know they're going to have your back no matter what. You've been through, and they were right there with you. And you kind of feel like the people who were your friends aren't really your friends because you don't have that same bond. It was really, really hard to go into any places with large groups of people. I'd get really, really overwhelmed with just anxiety, and I couldn't control it, and I'd have to leave, which made it really hard for my family because they didn't understand why, and I didn't really want to talk about it. And whenever we would go to crowds or anything, I'd try to keep it to myself, but I'd always be kind of hypersensitive.
Yeah.
I'd always be watching people, seeing who could be a target, and seeing if anybody had anything with their hands. I'd kind of move up against the wall, so that way I knew what was behind me and nobody could get up behind me. And sometimes I just have to take a second and duck into a small area where no one else is, so I can kind of just bring myself back down and try and calm down and realize you're in America, you're fine, it's just fun, everybody's out here to have a good time.
Good, I'm glad you learned that, because a lot of people have not learned that.
Yeah, it's so hard to actually like say you need help or express your feelings sometimes. So it just bottles up inside you, and you have a lot of anger, depression, everything else. I've noticed that there's certain times when I've been so just depressed and everything else, you don't want to be around everybody, you don't want to be around anybody, you just want to stay in one area. Your adrenaline sets to a whole new level.
Yeah.
Because you're constantly getting blown up, you're getting shot at, you're kind of always tense, and every time it peaks it up because you have to. So you're kind of going for a year of this stable line of adrenaline, and just staying in line, and then you come back here and all that's gone. You kind of get to a point where you're not feeling anything and you just want to feel something. So I would take a knife or something, or you might hurt yourself, and maybe you cut in one area that nobody can see, and then it kind of brings everything back, and you're not worried about why don't I care about anything really, and it kind of centralizes that. It's not a good coping skills, and you're not a bad person because you do it. It's pain. You just want to feel something. You just can't think it'll get better. You hit rock bottom, and the only way to go is up.
I'd forgotten how to feel. I'd forgotten what was real.
Okay, Nate, you know, you just described to me how you felt coming home. And what did you do to deal with the effects of combat and war? Because it does change you, brother. It changed you a lot. So what did you do personally to deal with the effects?
When from the corner of my eye I saw you walking, I saw you walking right up to me.
My wife has been really a key player with that. She's kind of got me out of my bubble with just staying to myself. She's like, well, go do this, go do this. She pushed for me to go to see a counselor, and I did. And I think I had a big breakthrough going and doing that, and just being like, I need this to happen or else I probably won't be here. So I went and did that, and they taught me a lot of pretty good coping mechanisms. I haven't cut in years, and I think it's because I've talked to counselors and I have a good peer network that have kind of made me realize that the cutting wasn't the problem. The problem was being numb and not communicating and kind of everything else. So once I started working on that, the need to do that went away. I kind of started to see more of my buddies be okay with it, and then they started going to see counselors just from me being open about it. I had seen on TV some people talking about Team Red, White, and Blue. It was an organization that brings civilians and veterans together to do physical activities and kind of socialize and bring people, vets that have been through kind of the same thing, to kind of talk and socialize and get back out to doing things so you're not just stuck in your house. I did my first event in 2012. I think whenever the Boston Marathon bombing happened, we did a 26.2 minute run. Started off Fort Hood with 5 people. And we just got out there and did a flag run around Lions Park. And since then, I think we're at 1,300 people right now with Fort Hood. I really like it. It's a good organization. So I was like, hey, I want to do something. I like sports. What about softball? Everybody can play softball if they want to. So I started a team, and now we actually have 3 teams of 19 people. It's grown. I do a lot of kickball tournaments. I just pick a day. Everybody comes out, plays kickball, all ages. We do a lot of volunteer work with VA. We do a lot of stuff around the community. We do a lot of stuff on Fort Hood with helping out with their events. When I joined Team Red, White, and Blue, I met a lot of really, really great people.
Is there any final thoughts that you would like to give another young veteran or civilian spouse that needs a little word of encouragement?
I would say just don't ever think you're alone. There's so many organizations that you can be a part of. Not everyone is going to be one of the people you deployed with, but let other people in, because you got to have 2 types of friendship. You'll always have that brotherhood.
Yes.
And then you can also have friendships with people. And so I've found a lot more people to trust that I'd never met.
You said something very important, young man, and everyone needs to know that you are not alone. Together we can figure out anything. Thank you very much for coming here today.
Thank you.
I found what I've been missing. Someone who will listen. Someone who will listen to my soul.
Welcome back. And thanks, Joe.
It's my honor, brother.
And thank you, Nate, for the courage to share your story. Nate talked about a couple of things. He talked about Team Red, White, and Blue and how it was a social organization that was centered around physical activities. Let's take a minute and look at a message from the founder of Team Red, White, and Blue.
I founded Team Red, White, and Blue as a way for American citizens, whether they've been in the military or not, to connect with veterans who have served, especially in Iraq and Afghanistan, and to support their transition when they leave the military and transition to civilian life.
The what of what we do is connecting veterans to their community. That's the what. The how is through physical and social activity. They may go for a run group, they may take a yoga class, go to a CrossFit gym, but we're facilitating consistent opportunities for veterans to come out, be with other veterans, and most importantly, be with other members of their community who are maybe civilians and haven't served. Create that bond over something that we think is very, very natural, like exercise. It's not so much a charity, you know, we're not here to give them a handout. We're here to challenge them. We want them to come out and take ownership of their physical well-being and their wellness. We want them to get out of the house and off the couch, and to really be an integral part of their own healing.
One of the key findings from positive psychology is that the #1 driver of life satisfaction and happiness is social relationships, the quality of people in your life that you know. That was instrumental because as we created the organization, we kept going back to this idea of what can we do to bring more veterans together, to meet people in their community who just need that chance to connect.
What a great organization, Team Red, White, and Blue. These social organizations can be great ways for veterans to start to rebuild trust.
And you know, Scott, what our brothers and sisters need to understand is not every shoe fits the same person. You know, it's like different strokes for different folks. There's organizations out there that can help them. I would encourage them to pick the one that fits their mold and run with it. Don't expect that one shoe fits us all.
Expect that this project will show that, and maybe some of these stories will resonate with the viewers. And you'll go out and you'll try something and continue to try to regain trust.
A lot of these organizations are actually ran by veterans. They have the desire, they have the hope to help us. And a lot of them are nationally ran, and majority of them are at no cost to the veteran.
You bet. And sometimes what we overlook is the fact of what this does for the veterans that are doing that. That lets them to continue their mission and continue to serve their veterans that they served with. It's a lifetime responsibility, and I know you feel the same way about it.
They have to realize one thing. They're not alone. You and I feel the same trauma. We've been through the same trauma, so they're not alone. There's many, many organizations ran by veterans out there to assist them. All they need to do is ask for help. And just like Nate said about Red, White, and Blue, it's there. It's a social organization that will help you to get back in the swing of life.
Every veteran that's actually recovered, they can usually point at a certain person or a certain occurrence that happened where they decided to start taking steps and moving along. And usually what happens after that occurs is that they want to share that with the next veteran. There's a pay it forward mechanism that really ties us all together.
Exactly.
But in the meantime, Joe, you also interviewed a Dr. Shireen Bazaz, who's a clinical psychologist that works with many veterans. They call her Dr. B. What can you tell us about Dr. B?
Well, Scott, Dr. B has worked with hundreds of veterans. And what's important for our brothers and sisters to realize, she's not a psychologist that just reads a book. She was a family member of a veteran. Her husband served in Iraq, and she saw the struggles that he had, so that led to her desire to help other veterans.
Let's go to our interview with Dr. B.
At this time, we have with us Dr. Shireen Bazaz. Okay, very good. Dr. B, can you tell us the different aspects to trust and safety that our military veterans have to go through?
From my understanding of what I've learned from listening to your brothers and sisters, that there's a wide range of experiences that people can have in terms of trust. We'll start with the very beginning when they are being taught in basic training about trust. In that sense, trust is strengthened and expanded upon for these young men and women because they have to learn how to rely on their brothers and sisters in a time of potentially great danger where their lives are being threatened. So that level of trust actually gets strengthened, and they learn how to rely on one another even during the most dangerous, potentially, times. On the other hand, when we are exposed to situations that are life-threatening, it inevitably changes our ability to trust and our perception of what feels safe and what doesn't feel safe.
Dr. B, you know, I don't trust people. Tell me why this old veteran should learn to trust people again after years of not trusting.
Joe, the good news is trust can be rebuilt. Each individual has to figure out what that journey looks like for themselves. What I would like to encourage your brothers and sisters to do is to recognize that it doesn't happen overnight. Trust has to be recreated on so many different levels. Not only do you need to learn how to trust others, which means having the assurance and the confidence that the person that you're talking to is a safe person to be able to trust, but there's also learning how to trust yourself. What I hear a lot is, I don't trust myself anymore because I know what the military has trained me to do. I know I have the capacity to do what needs to be done to protect myself and my brothers and sisters. And you are taught, it is ingrained in you to protect and defend. That is your role primarily. And to be able to trust others or yourself is something that needs to be relearned. We do a really good job of training you guys that not everybody is safe to trust, and you have to rely on your brothers and sisters or it could cost you your life. But we don't do a good enough job, in my opinion, of helping to retrain you to learn how to feel safe again and to learn how to trust others. The advantage is you stay safe. When we don't trust folks, we are relying exclusively on ourselves. The disadvantage is we can feel disconnected from those that we love, our family, our friends, and our community. So I'm not sure there's a clear-cut answer for how we can get anyone, including yourself, to be able to learn how to trust again. But what I will say, Joe, is that it starts with the man in the mirror and your willingness to choose to trust again, because that's going to be one of the biggest challenges, is choosing to put yourself in a situation that while you were serving was not a safe place to be.
Very good. I mean, brothers and sisters, if you would have been here, you would have got the chills I had on my arms, because that's some good advice, Dr. B. Dr. B, do you have any last final thoughts that you would like to express to us, our brothers and sisters?
Well, in addition to thanking you guys so much for the sacrifices you made, one way that can be very helpful is to not try to do it alone, and try to seek out those who have already had a chance to earn your trust. Those folks that I'm talking about are your brothers and sisters. They have the shared experience. They've been through the kinds of dangerous situations that you've been through, and they can understand on that level how difficult it is to trust. Fortunately, there are so many who are dedicating their lives to reaching their hands out to their brothers and sisters to make sure that they know that they're not alone, to remind them that there are folks out there that can be trusted again.
I thank you very much, not just from me, but to my brothers and sisters watching this.
I thank you.
Welcome back. Thanks, Joe. And thanks, Dr. Shireen Bazaz.
Scott, it's my pleasure. And I want to say one thing that Nate said so wisely. We need to take a chance as veterans, and we need to let people in at our own pace.
By interacting, we know that when veterans gather, hope happens and recovery begins. I want to thank all the viewers, the veterans, the service people, their families, and all the other organizations that have committed their life to helping veterans. And remember, our wish for you is hope.
I'm open for the first time in very long. And now I've let you in. Ready to begin. Find the man in me I thought was gone.
Team Red, White, and Blue is an athletic organization that helps you get out. It's designed to get you off the couch, you know, to get out and exercise, do something, and get back to that some of that PT regimen.
Probably the first organization that really helped me was I volunteered to assist in Special Olympics, and went out and worked with the kids, took my kid out and let him work with the kids, and we just had fun, had good people around us, and just kind of got back to enjoying life.
Let the fire inside me be my friend. I found what I've been missing. It was someone who would listen. Someone who would listen to my soul. Someone who would listen to my soul.